Hello everyone. Today we are going to make a brief summary of the Unit 7 Byzantine Civilization within the scope of the course Introduction to World Civilization. And before going through the unit, it would be a better idea to go over the objectives of that unit. At the end of the unit, you will be able to understand the origin of the Byzantine civilization. You will be able to apply the knowledge of Byzantine culture, tradition, religion, and ideology to comprehend their impacts on the creation of the Orthodox Church. You will also be able to describe the social, economic, and military relationships of the two predominant social classes in the Byzantine civilization. You will also be able to recognize the civilizing culture of the Byzantine Empire, and at the end you will be able to recognize the major events of the Byzantine civilization. First of all, it will be a good idea to touch upon the origin of the Byzantine civilization. The eastern part of the Roman Empire gave birth to the Byzantine civilization, and it lasted for about more than thousands of years and after the end of the Western Roman. And it was the Emperor Constantine who moved the center of the Roman Empire from Rome to Byzantium in 330 CE, and after that time Constantinople had been the imperial center of the Byzantine civilization. And for this reason, although Western Roman fell in 476 CE, Constantinople still remained as the capital for about 1100 years. And throughout the years there were some lost, especially in the northern Africa and Syria, but much of the Minor Asia and the Balkans were the basic area of the Byzantine Empire for centuries, till the conquer of Istanbul by the Ottomans in 1453. And another important point in this unit is the impact of Byzantine civilization on the creation of Orthodox Church. And as I told you before, Constantine was the first emperor to declare Christianity, and from that time Christianity was more tolerated throughout the empire. And in addition to this increasing tolerance, the Greek culture, which was still the popular one in the empire, highly influenced the rising Christianity, and this led to the arousal of the orthodoxy in the Byzantine Empire. In fact, there began to emerge some major differences between Byzantine Christianity and its Roman counterpart, and in terms of the doctrines, rituals, the authority of the church, and the role of the emperor, and all these led to the separation of these two religious systems. And as for the Orthodoxy, we can say that the theological controversies over Arianism, the nature of Christ, and iconoclasm contribute to the unique characteristics of the Orthodox Church, and they were also the major differences of it with the Roman Catholic Church. As for the social, economic relationships in the Byzantine civilizing society, we can say that during the initial years of the Byzantine Empire, the rich and wealthy landowners kept the large estates, and they usually held peasants who did not have any lands as workers in their fields. And in this system, especially, it was very difficult for the peasants to have their own lands and to be much more powerful compared to these wealthy people. Then the government created a new system called the theme system to defend the cities far from the capital, and the new system was so influential that it immediately began to change the social structure of the Byzantine, because the new system, the theme system, allowed the peasants and the soldiers to have their own lands after their military services. The government provided the new lands as awards to the soldiers in exchange of their military services. And in this way, the power of the rich landowners and wealthy people decreased, and the peasants turned into small landowners. And of course, such a system had a big impact on their economy, and it was positively influenced with the theme system, and the taxes coming from these small landowners became the major income for the treasury of the Byzantine Empire. Of course, the culture of the Byzantine Empire was civilized throughout the years, And the Byzantine civilization was essentially Roman with Greek and Christian elements included in it. Since the language and the culture of the Byzantine Empire were originally Greek, the intellectuals were versed scholars in Greek classics. For example, they wrote commentaries on Plato, Aristotle, and the other scholars, and these commentaries were studied at schools as the major courses. And furthermore, the world knowledge of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle and other philosophers were strongly preserved, and they were copied by hand throughout the generations. As a literary device, Byzantine prose was an important element in civilizing culture of the Byzantine Empire, and it mostly included the stories of Christian saints for masses of people to be read as novels and stories. I would like to add just a few words about the Justinian Code as well, since it was widely employed throughout the empire as a fair system of law based on the Roman and Christian values. And finally, the church were also important elements as cultural in Byzantine Empire because they exactly reflected the characteristics of Byzantine Empire, art, and mosaic. For example, one of the most important example of this is the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, and it was accepted as the peak of the architectural design and one of the most important elements that reflected the Byzantine culture and characteristics. Towards the end of the Byzantine civilization, there were some important events in the history, but when we look at the years of the Byzantine civilization, we can identify some major periods, and we can call them as 4 major periods in the Byzantine civilization. The first one was from 330 to 717 CE, and this period referred to the rise of the Eastern Roman Empire to power. The second major period was from 717 to 867 CE, and during this period, the Byzantines strengthened their existence, they got more powerful, and they created a new military and economic system, which called the theme system, and this system created a more powerful Byzantine structure and more powerful economy. And in the third period, from 867 to 1025 CE, the empire reached its peak in terms of its military and economic power. And finally, in the last period, which started with the death of the Basil II, the empire began to lose power and began to slide by losing territories, and finally it collapsed in 1453 with the conquer of Constantinople by the Ottomans. Of course, this video session was a kind of summary, and during this video session we touched upon the origin of the Byzantine civilization and how Byzantine civilization affected the creation of the Orthodox Church. We also focused on the social and economic relationships in Byzantine civilizing society, and we touched upon the civilizing culture of the Byzantine Empire by focusing on some cultural elements. And finally, we identified the 4 major events of the Byzantine civilization, which completed with the conquer of the Istanbul in 1453. Of course, that was a video session summarizing the unit, and it will be a better idea to go through all the unit to get a better understanding of the Byzantine civilization.